Hi, I'm Shayna, and today I'm going to be walking you through how to make these adorable little alphabet pillows from the Rebecca Page alphabet pillow pattern. I'm going to teach you how to make a letter E pillow and also a letter O pillow, because between both of these pillows, you will learn how to make a pillow with edges, and you'll also learn how to make a pillow with a center. And between both of those, you'll be able to make every pillow in the pattern, every letter or number. If you need any help as we get started, you can go ahead and join the RP Sew Alongs group on Facebook. It's a wonderful group. There's tons of friendly people and wonderful moderators who will help answer any of your questions if you get stuck during the sew along. You can also join the RP sewing group as well, where there's tons of people who've made these adorable pillows and they'll be able to help you out as well. So let's get started making these alphabet pillows. Okay, so during the course of our sew along, we are going to be making the letter E and the letter O. Now, the reason that I am going to be doing both of these letters for you is because I want you to be able to see how to make a letter that has lots of corners and also has no inside area. So just an outside edge only. And then I want to make the O because it is a great way to show you how to make the letters with the insides. So you'll be able to learn some special techniques that way. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. We're going to get started by cutting out our fabric. Now we really don't need a lot of fabric. Let me grab my pieces here. Okay, so we just need about that much. Yep, I'm just gonna cut a chunk off and we'll go from there. These small letters are great because they really don't take a lot of fabric at all. So you can use stuff from your stash if you have it. Just any old quilting cotton will do. You only need one of these strips for the outside and one for the inside. If you're new to cutting fabric, you can also use a rotary cutter if you'd prefer to use rotary cutter as opposed to scissors. The next thing we're going to do is cut another strip here for the inside edge. And then we'll have to cut out our letter. And you want a mirror image pair, so you're going to want to double your fabric. I need to make that a little wider. And we are going to need to cut the center out once we've cut all around the O. Now these letters have optional interfacing, meaning you can make them stiffer or you can make them softer like pillows, or you can make them stiffer so they stand up on their own by using a little bit of interfacing. If you've never used interfacing, there is a lot of different types out there. There's sew on and there's iron on. I think iron on's the easiest to use because you just iron it onto the wrong side of your fabric and you keep going on with your life. Sew-in interfacing is very similar, you just sew it in. So if you're gonna be using the interfacing, you'll wanna get that and you'll want to cut out your pattern pieces with the interfacing and iron it on according to the manufacturer's instructions. So to cut this circle, I think the easiest thing to do is to fold your circle in half first and make a snip. Once you've made a snip, if you have tinier scissors, they're gonna help with dexterity. My scissors happen to be on a little beaded chain. But also, for these circular pieces or these pieces that you're cutting out the centers, I would say the easiest way to cut out the center is to clip the fabric to the pattern piece. All the way around. This just kind of guarantees that the fabric isn't gonna shift under the pattern piece while we're cutting it. So our hole is gonna be more accurate. And now we can take our scissors and cut around the center. So if you have another method of doing this, do it. This is just one method that I use, and I think it's helpful because it keeps the pattern piece in place while you're cutting out the center, so you know you're getting a pretty exact center. Or pretty close to exact, you know. The tiny scissors just allow me to get really close. Okay, so that looks like a letter O, yay. That's what it should look like because that's what we're making. Let's move on to the next part of this sew along. Okay, so I have the letter E pillow here. I'm doing the small letter and I really want to show you how crisp and nice it can be with all of these corners. So you can start out and do this a couple of different ways. It says on the pattern piece that it's optional to have one interfacing. If you want to do interfacing, I'm gonna say if you want your small letters especially to stand up on their own, kind of be more firm, then the interfacing will help with that. It will help the letters to stand up. If you don't really care so much about the letters standing up, you just want them to be pillows, then you don't need to do the interfacing step. So for this letter E, I'm not going to do the interfacing. There is also an optional trim step. So if you have trim or piping, you can apply it to your letter pieces. If you want trim, embellishment, piping, you know, whatever it is. So I'm actually not going to trim either of these pillows because I only have black trim. It would look really nice if I had white trim, but I just don't have it on hand. So I'm not going to trim them, but I'm just gonna show you how you would do that roughly. So you would, if you were gonna do the trim, you would want to have your piece that you want trim on to be facing right side up. And then you would take your trim, the nice trim piping, you know, and you're gonna face it in like this. So the piped edge is going to be, let me see if I can zoom in here a little bit for you. So you can see this a little better. Sorry, my fabrics are dark here. You're gonna have the nice trimmed piped edge, and then you're gonna have your raw edge. Raw edges should be aligned. So align the raw edge with the raw edge, and then you're gonna clip or pin in place along the raw edges. And then when you get to corners, you are going to kind of move the piping kind of around the corner. So there's a little bit of slack here. And you can clip into that corner just a tiny bit, like a 1/4 inch notch, maybe less, 1/8 of an inch notch, to get it so that it stays in place and it's a nice corner for you. And you're gonna do that for all of the corners, all of the sides. There are a lot of corners on this letter E. Not all of the letters obviously have that many corners, but then what I recommend is taking a zipper foot, just a regular old zipper foot, because it can help you get it nice in close to the piping, and stitching as close as you can to the finished edge of the piping with your zipper foot. So you're gonna go all the way around. You're gonna pivot your needle when you come to corners, and if you haven't clipped already, you're gonna clip into that corner so it lays nice and flat. So that is how you would do piping or trim on the letters. That's the optional piping or trim process. All right, so go ahead and do both of those or neither of those options, the interfacing or the trim, whatever it is that you want, and then we'll move on and start actually assembling our pillows.